Does this sound familiar? You go to bed feeling tired, fall asleep without trouble, but then suddenly you're wide awake at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling while everyone else sleeps peacefully. If you're over 60, you're definitely not alone in this frustrating experience. Tonight, we're uncovering the real science behind why so many older adults find themselves alert in the early morning hours, and more importantly, what your body might be trying to communicate. What I'm about to share with you goes far beyond the typical just aging explanations you've probably heard before. We're diving deep into 5 fascinating biological and psychological reasons that could be behind your 3 a.m. wake-ups. Each one reveals something profound about how your amazing body adapts and changes through different life stages. By the time we're finished, you'll not only understand what's happening to your sleep, but you'll have practical strategies to work with your body's natural rhythms instead of fighting against them. This isn't about accepting poor sleep as inevitable. It's about understanding the sophisticated systems at work in your body and learning how to support them. Whether you've been dealing with this for months or years, the insights we're covering today could completely transform how you approach your nighttime rest. So let's explore what's really happening when you wake up at 3 a.m. and discover how to turn this challenge into an opportunity for better health and deeper self-understanding. The first and most significant reason behind those 3 a.m. wake-ups lies in a tiny gland about the size of a grain of rice nestled deep in your brain. Your pineal gland has been your faithful sleep companion for decades, producing melatonin like a perfectly timed factory. But as you age, this biological clock starts running differently, and the changes can be quite dramatic. Think of melatonin as your body's natural sleep potion. In your younger years, your pineal gland released this hormone in steady, predictable waves throughout the night, keeping you in deep, restorative sleep for 7 to 8 hours straight. But starting around age 50, this production begins to decline significantly. By age 70, you might be producing only about half the melatonin you did in your 30s. This isn't just a minor adjustment, it's a fundamental shift in your sleep architecture. Your body might still have enough melatonin to help you fall asleep initially, but maintaining that sleep becomes increasingly challenging. Around 3 a.m., when your melatonin levels naturally dip to their lowest point, there simply isn't enough of this sleep hormone left to keep your brain in its drowsy state. But here's what makes this even more complex. Your sensitivity to light also increases with age. That digital clock glowing beside your bed, the streetlight filtering through your curtains, even the soft glow of your phone charging across the room. All of these can suppress whatever melatonin your body is still trying to produce. It's like trying to sleep in a room where someone keeps dimming and brightening the lights throughout the night. Consider Margaret, a 67-year-old retired teacher who used to sleep through anything. Now she finds herself awake every night around 2:45 a.m., feeling frustrated and helpless. After learning about melatonin decline, she made her bedroom a sanctuary of darkness, invested in blackout curtains, and created a wind-down routine that signals to her pineal gland that it's time to work. While she still wakes up sometimes, she's learned to be patient with her body's changing rhythms rather than fighting them with frustration. The beautiful thing about understanding this change is that it removes self-blame. Your early waking isn't a personal failure or a sign that something is seriously wrong. It's simply your body operating with different biochemical resources than it had before. Once you know this, you can begin supporting your melatonin production naturally and creating an environment that maximizes whatever sleep hormones you're still producing. Reason number 2. Your internal clock runs fast. The second major factor behind 3 a.m. wake-ups is something sleep scientists call advanced sleep phase syndrome, and it's far more common in older adults than most people realize. Imagine your internal body clock as a precision timepiece that's been keeping perfect time for decades. As you age, this clock doesn't break. It simply starts running faster, shifting your entire sleep-wake cycle earlier by several hours. This biological shift happens gradually, so you might not notice it at first. You start feeling drowsy during the evening news instead of at bedtime. You find yourself naturally waking up before dawn, even on weekends when you want to sleep in. Your body's natural rhythm has shifted forward, often by 2 to 4 hours, which means when everyone else is in their deepest sleep phase, your body clock is signaling that it's time to wake up. This isn't just about getting older. It's about how aging affects the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the master clock in your brain that coordinates all your biological rhythms. As this control center ages, it becomes less sensitive to the light cues that normally keep your circadian rhythm synchronized with the 24-hour day. Without these strong external signals, your internal clock tends to run on its own preferred schedule, which is typically shorter than 24 hours. The psychological aspect of this change can be particularly challenging. Many older adults live in quieter environments with fewer social obligations and less structured schedules. Without the external pressures of work meetings, school schedules, or busy family routines, there are fewer cues to keep your body clock aligned with conventional timing. Your system naturally gravitates toward what feels most comfortable biologically, which might be sleeping from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. instead of 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Take Robert, a 72-year-old retiree who was puzzled by his new sleep pattern. He'd eat dinner at 5:30, feel tired by 8, and be wide awake by 3:30 in the morning, feeling completely rested. Initially, he thought he had insomnia and tried forcing himself to stay up later, which only made him feel worse. Once he understood that his sleep wasn't broken but simply rescheduled, he embraced his new rhythm. He now uses those quiet early morning hours for reading, gentle exercise, and peaceful reflection, working with his body's natural preferences rather than against them. The key insight here is that your sleep cycle hasn't become dysfunctional. It's just operating on a different schedule. Understanding this can eliminate the anxiety and frustration that often accompanies early waking, replacing it with acceptance and strategic planning for how to make the most of your body's natural rhythms. If you're finding value in these insights, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment with the number 2 to let me know you're following along. And if this content is helping you understand your sleep better, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you never miss our latest research-backed health insights. Your engagement helps us continue creating content that makes a real difference in people's lives. Reason number 3. Your body speaks louder at night. The third significant reason older adults wake up around 3 a.m. has to do with how aging changes your body's ability to ignore minor discomforts and health signals. When you were younger, your body could power through small aches, a slightly full bladder, or minor temperature changes without disrupting your sleep. But as you age, your sleep becomes lighter and more fragmented, making you much more aware of physical sensations that would have gone unnoticed in your younger years. This increased sensitivity isn't a weakness, it's actually your body's way of staying vigilant about health changes that become more significant with age. Conditions like arthritis create a slow build-up of stiffness and discomfort when you remain in the same position for hours. Your joints might feel fine when you first lie down, but by 3 a.m., after being still for several hours, that dull ache becomes enough to nudge you awake. One of the most common physical wake-up calls is the need to urinate. As we age, several changes make nighttime bathroom trips more likely. The bladder becomes less elastic and can't hold as much urine. The kidneys process fluids differently, and the muscles that control urination may not be as strong as they once were. For many older adults, especially men dealing with prostate changes, the urge to urinate becomes impossible to ignore around 3 a.m., and once you're up and moving, returning to deep sleep becomes much more challenging. There's also the complex issue of medications and their timing. Many older adults take multiple medications for conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, or heart health. These medications can have subtle side effects that become noticeable at night. Some cause increased urination, others affect body temperature regulation, and some can make you more sensitive to environmental factors like noise or light. You might not connect these side effects to your sleep disruption until you track patterns more carefully. Temperature regulation also changes with age. Your body's ability to maintain a consistent temperature throughout the night becomes less efficient, and small changes in room temperature or your bedding can be enough to wake you up. What felt perfectly comfortable when you went to bed might feel too warm or too cool by 3 a.m. Consider Eleanor, a 74-year-old who began waking up consistently at 3:20 a.m. after starting a new blood pressure medication. For months, she attributed the wake-ups to stress about her health. It wasn't until she mentioned the pattern to her pharmacist that she learned the medication could be affecting her sleep cycle. Working with her doctor, she adjusted the timing of her medication and made small changes to her evening routine. Now she sleeps more soundly and wakes up feeling more refreshed. The important message here is that these physical wake-ups are actually signs that your body is doing its job monitoring, alerting, and protecting your health. Rather than viewing them as annoying disruptions, try seeing them as your body's way of keeping you informed about what it needs. This shift in perspective can help you respond to these signals with curiosity and care rather than frustration. Reason number 4. Your daily rhythms create new sleep patterns. The fourth reason behind 3 a.m. wake-ups often hides in plain sight within your daily routines and lifestyle choices. Small changes in how you structure your days, changes that might seem insignificant, can have profound effects on when your body decides it's time to sleep and when it's time to wake up. These shifts often happen so gradually that you don't realize how dramatically they've altered your sleep timing. Many older adults naturally begin eating dinner earlier, sometimes as early as 5 or 6 p.m. While eating earlier is generally healthy, it can signal to your body that the day is winding down much sooner than you might intend. Combined with less physical activity during the day and fewer mentally stimulating challenges, your body begins its shutdown process earlier in the evening. If you're falling asleep by 8 or 9 p.m., it's completely natural that your body would complete its rest cycle by 3 or 4 a.m. The relationship between food timing and sleep is more complex than most people realize. Eating dinner very early can sometimes lead to a drop in blood sugar levels in the middle of the night. Your body might not interpret this as hunger, but the subtle blood sugar dip can be enough to trigger wakefulness. On the flip side, caffeine consumed even in the early afternoon can linger in your system much longer as your metabolism slows with age, creating a paradox where you feel tired enough to fall asleep early but don't achieve the deep, restorative sleep you need. Light exposure patterns also play a crucial role. If you're spending most of your day indoors with artificial lighting, your body might not be getting the bright light signals it needs to maintain a strong circadian rhythm. Without these powerful daytime light cues, your internal clock can drift toward its natural preference, which is often earlier than societal norms. Consider the case of William, a 69-year-old who retired 6 months ago. Without the structure of work, his days became more relaxed and less scheduled. He started having lunch at 11 a.m. and dinner at 5 p.m., spent more time indoors and found himself dozing in his chair during the evening news. Gradually, his bedtime shifted to 8:30 p.m. and he began waking up at 3 a.m., feeling fully rested but frustrated by the early hour. Once he recognized the pattern, William began making small adjustments, taking a walk after dinner, reading under brighter lights in the evening, and eating a small healthy snack before bed. These changes helped shift his sleep window just enough to align better with his preferred schedule. The power of routine cannot be overstated. Your body thrives on consistent signals that tell it when to be alert and when to rest. When these signals become weaker or shift dramatically, your internal body clock can lose its anchor points. But by consciously creating new rhythms that support your desired sleep schedule, you can gently guide your body toward better sleep timing. The beautiful aspect of understanding lifestyle influences on sleep is that it puts control back in your hands. While you can't stop the aging process, you can be intentional about how you structure your days to support the sleep patterns that work best for your life. Reason number 5. Your heart and mind process life in the quiet hours. The fifth and perhaps most profound reason older adults wake up at 3 a.m. goes beyond physical changes to touch something deeper, the emotional and psychological landscape of later life. In the quiet darkness of early morning, when the world is still and distractions are minimal, the mind often turns inward to process experiences, memories and feelings that may have been set aside during busier daylight hours. As we age, many of the external pressures that once kept our minds occupied begin to fade. Children grow up and move away, careers wind down, and social circles may become smaller. While this can bring a wonderful sense of freedom and peace, it also creates space for reflection that wasn't there before. The mind, no longer rushing from one urgent task to another, has room to wander through the vast landscape of accumulated experiences, relationships and wisdom gained over decades of living. This type of nighttime wakefulness feels different from the anxiety or stress that might have disrupted sleep in younger years. It's often quieter, more contemplative. You might find yourself thinking about conversations from long ago, wondering about paths not taken, or feeling a gentle sadness about loved ones who are no longer with you. These aren't necessarily troubling thoughts, but they're present in a way that can make returning to sleep challenging. Loneliness can also play a subtle but significant role in 3 a.m. wake-ups. This isn't always the heavy, devastating loneliness that we typically think of. Sometimes it's simply a quiet awareness of solitude, a gentle longing for connection, or a wish that there was someone nearby to share the peaceful stillness of the early morning hours. The house feels different at 3 a.m. when you're the only one awake, and that difference can keep your mind gently active when you'd rather be sleeping. Think about someone like Dorothy, an 82-year-old widow who finds herself waking most nights around 3:15 a.m. During the day, she stays busy with gardening, phone calls to her grandchildren, and volunteer work at the library. But in those quiet early morning hours, her thoughts often drift to her late husband of 55 years, to memories of raising their children, or to questions about what the future holds. She doesn't feel depressed or anxious, just reflective in a way that seems to happen most naturally when the world is asleep. Dorothy discovered that these wake-ups became less disruptive when she stopped fighting them and instead created a gentle ritual around them. She keeps a soft journal by her bedside and sometimes writes down her thoughts. Nothing elaborate, just a few sentences about whatever is on her mind. She also started ending her days with a brief gratitude practice, acknowledging both the joys and challenges of her life. These small acts of recognition and release help her mind feel more settled when it does begin to wander in the early morning hours. The truth is that the human heart doesn't operate on a sleep schedule. It processes love, loss, joy and wisdom according to its own timeline, and sometimes that timeline includes 3 a.m. reflection sessions. This isn't a problem to be solved. It's often a sign of depth, wisdom, and a rich inner life that deserves respect and attention. If you find yourself waking up and feeling emotionally reflective, consider approaching these moments with curiosity rather than frustration. What is your heart trying to process? What memories or feelings are asking for acknowledgement? Sometimes the most restorative rest comes not from forcing sleep, but from honoring the emotional work your mind needs to do. If you're still with me and finding these insights helpful, please comment with the number 5 below. Your engagement helps me know this content is valuable and motivates me to keep researching and sharing evidence-based insights about healthy aging. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you catch all our videos designed to help you age with wisdom, health and confidence. As we reach the end of our exploration, take a moment to consider which of these 5 reasons resonated most strongly with your own experience. Perhaps you recognized your declining melatonin production in the way light seems to bother you more at night. Maybe you saw yourself in the description of advanced sleep phase, realizing that your body has simply chosen a different schedule than the one society expects. Or perhaps you connected with the emotional aspects of nighttime wakefulness, understanding that your 3 a.m. thoughts aren't intrusions, but invitations to process the richness of your life experience. What's most important to understand is that none of these reasons point to failure or dysfunction. Each one reveals the remarkable ways your body and mind continue to adapt, respond and evolve as you move through different life stages. Your 3 a.m. wake-ups aren't a sign that something is broken. They're evidence that complex biological and psychological systems are still working, still adjusting, still trying to serve your well-being in the best way they know how. There's profound wisdom in learning to work with your body's changing rhythms rather than against them. This might mean adjusting your expectations about what normal sleep looks like at your stage of life. It might mean creating new evening routines that support your melatonin production, or embracing an earlier bedtime that aligns with your shifted circadian rhythm. It could mean addressing physical discomforts proactively, or creating space for the emotional processing that seems to happen most naturally in the quiet hours. Remember that you're not alone in this experience. Millions of older adults navigate these same sleep changes, often feeling confused or frustrated because no one talks openly about how normal these shifts actually are. By understanding the science behind your sleep changes, you join a community of people who are learning to age with awareness, acceptance, and strategic self-care. Your sleep story is still being written, and each chapter brings new opportunities to understand and care for yourself with greater wisdom and compassion. Those 3 a.m. moments, rather than being obstacles, might become doorways to deeper self-knowledge, better health habits, and a more peaceful relationship with the natural rhythms of aging. Thank you for taking this journey with me today. I hope these insights help you approach your next 3 a.m. wake-up with curiosity instead of frustration and wisdom instead of worry. Please share in the comments below which of these 5 reasons spoke to you most, and what's one small change you're inspired to try. Your stories and insights help create a community of support for everyone navigating these changes. If this video provided value and helped you understand your sleep better, please give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who might benefit, and subscribe for more science-based content about healthy aging. Together, we can change the conversation about getting older from one of decline to one of continued growth, adaptation, and wisdom. Until next time, sleep well and age